What's up? This is Ryan with One Board Family, and on this channel we like to cover gaming from the multi-generational perspective. We want to find games for kids, parents, and grandparents, and everybody in between so that you can make memories around the game table. In this video, I'm going to cover my top 10 game releases from 2024. This past year has been an absolutely stacked year with some amazing releases. So I've got 10 that you may just want to add to your game shelf. So let's jump right into that list. Coming in at number 10 is the smallest game on this list. This is Flip 7. This is a small card game. And I say small because it comes in this little box. This is actually the promotional copy that the op used for content creators and board game media people. You may be able to find this game in a little larger of a box, but the game remains the same. The game is all about pressing your luck. You're going to be dealing out cards around the table, pressing your luck, trying not to get the same number twice. The deck is stacked with cards from 0 to 12, but there's also cards that help you mitigate getting a second version of a card or might add bonus points to your score. The whole goal of the game is not to bust in each of the rounds. If you ever receive two of the same number cards, you're going to bust and you're not going to score any points for that round. This game is really fast, and the reason why it's in my top 10 list is because it's so accessible for kids, for adults. Even really small gamers are going to be able to jump in on this one with a little bit of help. It's cool because with just some numbers and colors, players are going to be able to get around the table and have a really good time. This is a game that can easily be thrown into a book bag or a purse and go with you on the go. This is a game that just about anybody can play because all you have to do is say hit or freeze. When you freeze, you stop and you total up your score, and that's the score that you take for the round. If you hit, you're going to get another card hoping not to bust. Now, you also have cards like the Flip 3 card. When you get that card, you can either assign it to somebody else or take it on yourself, possibly busting because you have 3 new cards added to the mix. Flip 7 is a really fun game, and it's the smallest one on my list. This is a card game that is going to be in our collection for many years to come. In fact, this is our second copy of it because the first copy got pretty worn through. So Flip 7, this is one you definitely need to check out, and it's my number 10 game for 2024. Coming in at number 9 is Donut Shop. This one comes to us from 25th Century Games and was designed by Jeffrey D. Allers. This game is a tile-laying game with some of the most gorgeous donut artwork you've ever seen. In fact, this game, every time we get it to the table, we immediately get hungry. It's hard not to want donuts after playing Donut Shop. Players are laying tiles into a donut display as they work at the donut shop, and they're trying to score the most points possible. You're going to connect donuts of the same type and retrieve coins for the donuts that connect of a certain type that you call. So if you're calling crullers, you're going to get points for crullers that are all connected contiguously. This game is so much fun. It's very easy to teach, and what I love about it is that it gets very competitive. Players are also trying to box up donuts, not only to score additional points, but they're also cutting off the supply of the donuts that they box up. Everything about this game just screams 1950s donut shop. It's so well designed. The artwork is really cool. And the whole style of the game just screams, man, I need donuts right now. Jeffrey D. Allers did an excellent job with the design of this one, and 25th Century Games, of course, knocked it out of the park with the boxing and the way that the donuts are displayed. You're going to take those tiles. You're only going to have one tile at a time to lay into the display. It's very easy to teach, and a game that's absolutely going to stay in our collection for years to come. Coming in at number 8 is actually another tile laying game. This one is Gnome Hallow from the op. Designer Eamon Anderson did an excellent job of creating this really whimsical world where your gnomes are going out and they're picking mushrooms. Essentially, kind of a little bit like Carcassonne, you're trying to create these flower rings, and then you're claiming those flower rings and claiming all of the mushrooms that are attached to the ring that you've claimed. You're going to eventually turn in those mushrooms at the market, and you're going to get paid in all these little trinkets and things that a gnome would have. Feathers and crystals and buttons and everything. It's a really, really cute design. I really dig the art style of Gnome Hallow. I dig how the gameplay changes. I think what I like about it the most is the fact that whether you're playing 2, 3, or 4 players, it plays slightly different because the field of play in a 4-player game gets so crowded and you're just looking for the right opportunities with your gnomes. Whereas in a 2-player game, it's actually a really casual, chill atmosphere where you're just building flower circles and collecting mushrooms and everybody's having a good time. Anyway, Gnome Hallow is really, really fun. It's a great design. And I think one of the coolest things is the fact that each of the player boards are magnetized. So you're never worried about, oh, am I going to knock off all the different things on my player board? You don't have to worry about it. You can shake these things upside down and nothing's going anywhere. This design is excellent, and I'm hoping in 2025 we see more magnetized player boards across the board game community. The Op did an excellent job with this design, and I hope more people get to play it. This was a huge release at Gen Con this year, and one that our family really, really digs. Coming in at number 7 is Joyride, Survival of the Fastest. I didn't even know that I needed another racing game. I have a whole set of shelves over here that are dedicated to racing games. I don't even like cars that much. This is a really fun one. It reminds me of my childhood going to demolition derbies where cars would just smash into each other just for the fun of it. This game is a racing game proper, but what's interesting about it is that it's kind of an open world concept. You have this racetrack where you have checkpoints, but you can choose to go through those checkpoints however you wish. If you want to go backward, that's totally fine as long as you cross them in the right order. Joyride is a really cool design that I think I've enjoyed more and more as I've played the game. My very first time playing Joyride, I was like, that was fun. That was cool. Smashed some cars and had a good time. And the box art's awesome. And the neon car, really cool. But the more I played this game, the more I saw the nuance of laying landmines at the right time or cutting off your opponent or smashing your opponent into a wall just so that you can get them tied up for just a little longer so that you can cross the next checkpoint. This game is chaos, it's crazy, and Joyride is an absolute blast to play. Whether or not you like racing games, there's something to enjoy in this box. Joyride Survival of the Fastest. Survival of the Fastest is a really great design, and with double-sided board that is constantly changeable. You've got a rule book that shows you all these different track configurations, or you can just make your own or go online and find a community that's making tracks. It's really cool, and it's going to give you a lot of replayability for the future, and that's something I really dig. Coming in at number 6 is Wondrous Creatures. This one is from Bad Comet Games. This one's a tough one to explain because it's a worker placement game, which a lot of gamers understand, but it's almost like a mix of Pokemon meets Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the movie. It's really odd. Players are going to take their crew, which is made up of 3 mystical creatures or dinosaurs, and their captain, and they're going to go out to this island. They're collecting eggs, and they're trying to find these amazing, fantastical creatures as they go around the island. It's a worker placement game where you're collecting resources, and ultimately, you're collecting a tableau of incredible creatures that you find on the island. These creatures are hybrids of things that you already know what they are and what they look like, but you've never seen them like this before. I really like the design, and I love how whimsical this game is. It takes the worker placement mechanic and it kind of spins it just a little bit to keep it very interesting. What I enjoy about this game is that there aren't actually rounds. What happens is eventually a player is going to run out of things that they can do, and they're going to have to retire or reset, and that's going to move the round marker forward into the next phase. And what happens is players are getting to that point where they can't really do anything else and they have to rest and collect all of their crew and collect everything that they've made, and the timer is going to click down. The game plays really well, and while we previewed this last year in 2023, the finalized finished copy is far better than I expected, and the gameplay has been refined. Wondrous Creatures is a fantastic addition to a family game shelf. This one is one that I am looking forward to playing for years to come. Plus, it looks like I'm into classy books, so it makes me feel like a good person. Coming in at number 5 is Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. This is a redesign of a beloved game, Seven Wonders Duel. It's funny because Aaron and I have never had a copy of Seven Wonders Duel. We always just played our friends' copies. Now I'm really excited because I own this. My daughter recently really got into Lord of the Rings as she went through and read the book for her college class, and it was an easy sell to be able to get this one on the table with my wife and my daughter and the rest of our family. This is a 2-player only game where players are battling over Middle-earth. One player is going to play the Fellowship while the other player is playing Sauron and his army. It is really, really well done, the way that this game executes. There are 3 different paths to victory. Probably my favorite path to victory is either getting the ring to Mount Doom to destroy it, or for the horsemen to follow up and catch up with the Fellowship who has the ring. This game is so excellently reskinned, and I think it's probably the best version of Seven Wonders Duel. Seven Wonders Duel on its own is a fantastic game, but when you add the Lord of the Rings license, when you add Vincent Dutray's artwork, it just takes it to another level, and I'm very happy that we have this copy in our collection. This is a game that I was overly impressed by, and I didn't even realize that it would be in my top 10 until probably 1 or 2 plays in. I was like, yeah, this has to be one of the games of the year. So if you haven't checked it out yet, Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. You gotta check it out. Coming in at number 4, or my wife's number 1 pick, Dracula versus Van Helsing. This one is published by 25th Century Games, and some people might say, well, Ryan, it came out in 2023 overseas. I understand that, but I'm in the US and this is my list. So this game was published by 25th Century Games here in the United States this calendar year. Dracula versus Van Helsing takes that classic duel and puts 2 players against each other. 1 player playing Dracula, 1 player playing Van Helsing. Van Helsing is trying to take away all of Dracula's hit points before the end of the 5 rounds, while Dracula is trying to convert an entire district of villagers before the end of the 5th round. This game is all about hand management, and I love how it plays out because every time you get one over on your opponent, you kind of feel a little smarter than them. It's a really, really great design, and I love the way that it plays. This is probably mine and Aaron's most played 2-player game this year, and on top of that, I would probably rank this really high on one of our favorite games in our collection. Dracula versus Van Helsing is a beautiful design, and it's made even better with Weberson Santiago's artwork throughout. This one is one that you definitely need to check out if you're looking for more 2-player games, and it was a great pickup by 25th Century Games, coming over here and originally published by Mandu Games. Coming in at number 3 is Forges of Ravenshire. This one's from BA Games and designed by Sam Stockton. This one is such a great design. It is a dice placement game with some engine building, resource management. It kind of checks all those boxes for me. Back in 2023 at Origins, we played a demo of this game as it was coming out off of Kickstarter. I really fell in love with the design. I had to have a copy of this, and thankfully I've been playing it for the past couple of months, and I've not grown tired of it. Forges of Ravenshire is a really excellent game. You can even tell how excellent it is by this weird badger on the front who's got his tongue hanging out. He's having the best time of his life. Anyway, you are a group of woodland creatures who are trying to fulfill contracts for warriors. You're building swords and shields and pieces of armor. You're fulfilling those contracts, gaining money, gaining prestige. All of this really clicks for me. And it's a game where when you place your dice out into the world to get a specific resource, you're pulling back a different die into your display. Everybody is working in two phases. You've got a resource phase, and then you have a production phase where you're actually going to be producing those resources that you're going to use to fulfill contracts. I can't say enough about Forges of Ravenshire. It is an excellent design. This is a game that needs to get a lot of love this year. If you haven't played it already, you definitely should. It's my number 3 game of the year. Coming in at number 2 on my top 10 games of 2024 is a little bit of a cheat because this game was originally published in its original form in 2019. But I only found out about it in 2024, so I'm allowed to do this. Binho is a dexterity soccer game that we found out about earlier this year, actually through our Monday night board game talk show. We got to meet the designer Nick over at Binho and got to get to know the people of this company, and I've got to say, this is my most played game of this year. I've played over 300 matches of Binho this year, and I've even started a local club league for us to play even more Binho. This game is exciting and thrilling, fun, fast-paced, 2 players only, but it draws a crowd. Binho is an exciting game that can be played just about anywhere. We've brought it to our local barcade. We've brought it on vacation with us. We've brought it to the mountains. We've brought it to the beach. We've brought it all over the place because Binho is so much fun to play. It's easy to play because all you need to know is how to flick a soccer ball. And there are some exciting things that happen as you get past these little defenders and sink a goal into the net. Binho is dynamic, it's exciting, and it's a game that just about everybody wants to play. We've seen kids jump into a game and beat adults. We've seen grandparents beat the grandchildren. This is such a fun game, and I think that it deserves to be at the top of my list. I played this game a lot this year. I'm not very good at it still, but I love playing Binho. And this is a game that's going to be in our collection for many years. We've got multiple boards, and I'm looking this year to get a 3rd board because this game is so much fun to play. Set them all out on the table, and people are going to jump in and play right away. I don't even like soccer, but I love Binho. This is why this is my number 2 game of the year. My number 1 game of 2024 is a game that I immediately gravitated to because of its artwork, and I saw some other content creators covering the game at the time. In the spring, I picked up the game Harmonies from Libellud Games. I love this design. I think that it does what our channel tries to do. It makes a game that's accessible for younger gamers and older gamers. It makes something accessible for players who are looking for something puzzly or relaxing. Harmonies is that game. There are 2 sides to the board that you can play. One is a little slightly more advanced than the other. You've got things called spirit animals that you can introduce that give some additional scoring. But ultimately, you're trying to create environments that are going to score the most points. Environments that you can plant animals on as you draft the different pieces. You've got wood and stone and buildings and shrubbery, all these things that you can add to your board to create the perfect environment for frogs and llamas and condors to live in. Harmonies is an excellent design, and I feel like they really nailed the way that that resourcing these different items should feel when building out an environment for animals. I really love this design. I think Libellud did a great job with the production. This is a game that's going to be in our game collection for a very, very long time because I love playing this, whether it's with my kids or just 2 players with my wife, or I've even soloed this game, which I don't do. That's how good of a design it is. Harmonies is my #1 game of 2024 because it's so incredibly accessible, fun, and puzzly to play. It's something that I can't wait to continue showing people in the new year. Those have been my top 10 games of 2024. Now, I've played so many games this past year that I loved. I've got some of my runners up behind me with Inventions and Nova Roma and Fuego back here, trick-taking game. There's so many great games that came out this year, and I want to hear about what your favorite games are. In the comments, be sure to post your favorite games of 2024, what releases really impressed you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We want to make content that your whole family will find entertaining and hopefully help you find the next game to add to your family game shelf. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, we'll see you at the table.